In this video, I'm going to share with you exactly how you can decimate all of your competition in nightlife by just selling more tickets and getting more heads through the door with paid ads on Facebook and Instagram. This is honestly my most unfair advantage when it comes to advertising, because mostly what I've done since 2019 is promote nightclubs, festivals, and events just with paid advertising, because eventually your social battery burns out, your promoter team can only bring so many people. The next option to scale your event to the fucking moon is just running ads and giving money to Mark Zuckerberg so you can tell more people about your event. Most of you know, but one of my companies is actually a digital advertising agency, and amongst the service-based businesses and the corporate clients that we have, a lot of our clients have been major music festivals, major nightclub events and things of that nature. I actually sublease one of the rooms in my office to Inhibit Promotions, which is arguably Australia's largest drum and bass promoter, and so I just got Jeff, the promoter, and his team and Quincy and stuff in the other room. And so we do their ads as well, as long as a bunch of other, previously have done other promoters as well, and music festivals. But amongst all of that, previously to doing all these major festivals, I was just a local club promoter myself, and eventually I was managing a promoter team. Some of you have seen my videos about how to recruit promoters, optimize their performance so they get more heads through the door. But eventually you'll kind of tap out that market. And the most common feedback I get from the kids that I mentor on like Instagram messages and WhatsApp and in my school community as well is they want to know how to grow their event with ads, because their time is just running out to just tell more people. And so the next option is, and I've talked about it in previous videos, is just leveraging money so you can just use that money to tell more people about your event. But you want to do it profitably, and that's what I'm going to teach you exactly how to do in this video. I'm going to be going into an ad account, showing you how to structure your campaign, showing you how I've generated the returns that I have. And it's coming from $20 million in ad spend, which I've either personally managed or personally spent, or that has been managed across the team at my agency. This isn't just, just like boost your post on Instagram. This is coming from like $20 million in ad spend we've managed or spent for our clients or ourselves, and the lessons that comes with that as well, and a decade of experience doing this too. Just for reference as well, my lifetime personal return on ad spend averages out to about 12x, which means on average, if you give me $1 to spend on the internet on ads, I'm probably giving you 12 back. It gets hard to track, but I've kind of worked it out to that metric. It's around 10 to 12x. Amongst that as well, doing all this stuff has allowed me to be one of the top 50 Australian Young Entrepreneurs of the Year. That was back in 2022. My agency, Where You, which funny story, is actually just named after a drunk message, because me and my friends were trying to find each other in nightclubs and we're always messaging each other, Where You. So if you're wondering where the name came from, that's where. But my agency, Where You, I was laughing, was one of the top 5 independent agencies of the year, according to the Australian Institute of Marketing in 2023, which was just last year. And what I'm going to cover in this video to set you up for success in hopefully under an hour is the math to unlock an infinite money glitch with your ticket sales, the architecture of a campaign, timelines and budget scheduling for maximum ROI, because sometimes people ask me, how much do I need to spend on ads? There's just a math formula that you do. We're going to weaponize your ad account. So I'm actually going to jump into a demo account and actually show you how things are structured. I'll actually log into a live account too. I'll just blur out some stuff and show you how things work. I'm going to show you how to optimize it for greater returns. So how do we look at the numbers that you see in your ad account and make them do better so more money lands in your bank account? Cool, infinite money glitch math. What I'm going to do now is just quickly jump into a Google sheet and break down the math of how you put money into your bank account and then ticket sales land in your bank account. All right, so this is basically the math that makes this financially viable. So let's say you're selling tickets for $40 and your budget is $1,000. CPM, this stands for cost per milli. I thought it was French. Turns out it's Latin for like 1,000, I think. So it's how many dollars do you need to spend to get 1,000 impressions, i.e. your ad got seen 1,000 times, right? CTR, this stands for link click-through rate. So of these people that saw it, what percentage of them clicked it? We want to be somewhere north of 1%. 2% is really great. 3% is probably going to be like a warmer retargeting thing. We'll talk more about metrics later. But let's say 1.3% of the people that saw your ad, so out of the 125,000 people clicked it, 1.3% clicked it, sorry. That means we've got 1,625 people visiting the landing page for 62 cents each. Let's say your ticket page is converting at 5%. You want to be somewhere between like 5 and 10%.
That means you'll get 81 sales. So every $12.31 you're spending on ads, someone's buying a ticket worth $40. That means you turned your $1,000 into $3,250 in ad spend, in ticket sales revenue. So you've got a ROAS of 3.25. And then what you want to do is just make tiny little changes to make this thing do better. So let's say we go to 1.5% CTR. Great, goes up. The return on investment goes up a little bit more. Let's say we go from 5 to 7%. Well, now we're spitting out like a 5x return on that spend, right? And so it just becomes this numbers game where you're just fighting to push these little percentages up just a little bit more.
Cool. Now that we know the infinite money glitch math, let's look at campaign architecture. So, campaign architecture, the engine components. So there are basically three core components of your ticket sales engine. So you have the campaign, which is what you want to do in your ad account, right? So the campaign is basically, are we looking for traffic? Are we looking for conversions? How aggressively do we want to do it? Which is the budget. I'm going to dive into this in more detail in a bit. I'm just going to do a quick overview now. Now, within your campaign, you have one or more ad sets, which is essentially who's going to see the ads within that ad set and where they're going to see it. So target audience and placements and things like that. Now, within your ad sets, you're going to have one or multiple ads, which is basically what are they going to see, what are they going to click, right? So this stuff, campaign, ad sets, and ads is within your ad account. You then also have the ticket page, which is when they click the ad, where are you going to send them so that they can purchase the tickets? Some of you use stuff like Eventbrite. I personally recommend Humanitix. Now, there's also the pixel. They recently, I think just last month, renamed this to dataset. And now this needs to be installed on your ticket page so your ad account actually knows sales are happening and knows what's happening. Cool. Now that we know what all of that looks like, let's zoom in a little bit and look at the components in more detail. So the campaign. The campaign is essentially what we want to do and how aggressively we want to do it. By how aggressively we want to do it, we mean budget. How much do we want to spend? Now, when we look at the campaign, there's objectives and then there's budget. So objectives is basically the only three objectives that you're going to do, for the most part anyway, is traffic, which is send people to the ticket page. And then there's conversions, which is send people to the ticket page with the intent to purchase. Now, some of you are going to be asking the very obvious question that's going to come up right now, which is, well, Brandon, what's the difference between optimizing for traffic and optimizing for conversions? And it's a great question. I'm glad that you asked. You didn't. But basically, the difference between traffic and conversions is if we build a campaign and we set the objective to traffic, essentially what we're doing is we're telling Mark, hey, Mark, I want you to find the people within these ad sets which are looking to click things. As long as they click it, I'm happy. It doesn't matter that they convert or not. And so Mark will go, okay, here's a bunch of curious people and he'll get you lots of clicks, really high click-through rate, which we'll talk about in a bit. If we go for conversions, you're essentially telling Mark, hey, I want people to click the link, but I only really want them to click it if you reckon that they're going to buy a ticket. So I want you to optimize for the ticket purchase, not just them clicking it. Clicking is just a prerequisite to buying, right? And then Mark will go out and find the people that you're targeting and find who's most likely to purchase and convert. That is the difference between traffic and conversions, and we use them at different stages. There's event responses, which is basically an engagement campaign where you tell Mark, hey, I want you to show them this event, and the intention of this campaign is to make them click going or interested. Just a note, it's becoming less relevant. There's a lot of different ways you can build a campaign. I'm going to teach you a basic one, which will kind of get you to where you need to go. So I'm just going to focus on traffic and conversions for this one for simplicity. A lot of the people that come to me for help are targeting 18 to 21 year olds. Event responses are becoming far less relevant for that age demographic, so it's mostly going to be traffic. So just a note. There's also other campaign objectives you can do, like video views, engagement, so getting people to like and comment and things like that. You'll use those from time to time. I just want to give you the 101 of how to sell tickets on the internet. When you get to those stages, you're probably a more advanced marketer, in which case you're probably going to end up paying me to do it. But I don't advertise my agency anywhere, so just figure this stuff out. That's, by the way, just a little side rant. That's a really common thing that club promoters do is they try and outsource the advertising like way too soon. I don't think you should. I've posted about this on my Instagram before and saying that you should learn how to do the ads yourself, especially as a club promoter, because getting an agency or a freelancer is just going to eat up too much of your margins. You should learn how to make money from ticket sales yourself first. It makes sense getting an agency when you're a really big event or a really big festival and it requires that really specialist knowledge and you have to have the margin to deal with. Like that's the kind of promoters and events that we work with. Cool. Anyway, side rant aside. Also within the campaign, we have the budget. Now we can set that to daily spend or lifetime. I'll show you that when we build a campaign. And this will I'll answer the how much do I spend question in a later slide. Cool. Let's look at the ad sets. So the ad sets is basically who's going to see the ads within this and where are they going to see it. So first thing within the ad set is the conversion event. So what you'll do is you'll select your pixel and the intended conversion at this level. So for example, if you're running a conversion event, it might be traffic if you're optimizing for traffic. It might be purchases, it might be initiate checkouts. Generally speaking, you're looking for landing page views if it's traffic, and then purchases if you're trying to convert your warm audiences. Again, I'm going to build out a whole campaign and show you. Now, within the ad set, we also have the audience. Now, just to note, actually this popped up in my school community once. I think it was Josephat who was asking me how to find something. There are like 80 or 90 or 100 different versions of the user interface for Ads Manager that run at any point in time. So whenever I look at my ad account and look at anyone else's ad account, it's always slightly different. So the buttons will be in slightly different places when I do my demonstration. Just, you're a fucking grown up. You've been using the internet your whole life. Just find the button, right? So within the audience is basically who's going to see this. So we have the basics, which is demographics. So age, gender, location. We have the interests, which is like, in nightlife, you're probably going to be targeting certain genres, certain artists, things of that nature. Now, we also have the option to do custom audiences. Now, this is where you fucking print money, because anyone that's engaged with you on Facebook and Instagram, or they hit your ticket page, you can just go to Facebook and go, hey, anyone that visited my ticket page but didn't purchase, I only want to show those people this ad. Who do you think's most likely to purchase? Those people. Right, compared to just like some stranger that saw you for the first time. So custom audiences is where a lot of the heavy lifting is going to be done. Club promoters, really big club promoters, get very, very precious about their custom audiences and their data because they've spent so much money to build these pixel retargeting audiences and these email lists and these engagement audiences. They just want to make sure that it's not shared with anyone else. Now, we also have lookalike audiences. I think they're going out of fashion a little bit, but it's basically you get one of your custom audiences and you go, hey, I want to find the X percent, it could be 1%, it could be all the way up to 10%. I want to find the 1% of people in this country that look the most like people that responded to this event or people that previously purchased a ticket, right? And then you can find more people like that. Now, we also have placements, which is where they're going to see it. Is it the newsfeed, stories, reels? Generally speaking, just leave it on automatic placements, or it might be right now calling it something like fucking advantage placements or something stupid like this. There's another thing here which has been popping off recently called Advantage Plus targeting, which is basically you tell Facebook, I want people that look like this, but then if you have an Advantage Plus on, it's like, all right, just find more people or expand that audience if you reckon it will get me results. It works pretty well, to be honest, as well. I'll go through it when I actually build out a campaign for you. Now we have ads, so which is what are they going to see and click, right? So firstly, within the ads, we have the page identity, which is what Facebook and Instagram page is this going to appear from. We have the content, which is the images of the videos. I'm going to go through how to make good images and videos in a bit. The primary text, which is essentially the caption that they read on the post that they're going to click. We have the headline, which is just next to the button. And we have the link URL, which is a link to the ticket page. If it seems like a lot, it will make sense when I show you at a live ad account. Now, ads, going to continue on this one. Now, ads can either be an existing post or a dark post. Now, I'll explain the difference. An existing post pulls a post from your page, adds a link to it, and shows it to the people you defined in your ad set. So let's say, for example, you announce Tickets Alive on your Instagram feed. When you create an ad, you can, at the ad level, you can grab that post, add a link to it, and then run that post. So when they click the post and go to your page, they'll still see that same post. A dark post, however, You create it within Ads Manager. It doesn't appear on your account timeline. It just appears from your page identity, but only gets shown on the news feeds of people you define in your ad set. So if they click the page and go to your profile, they're not going to see that particular post. It will just pop as they're like scrolling through their news feed. Again, I'll go through how to make a good ad that people will click later. Now, your ticket page. So where are they going to go when they click the ad and try and purchase a ticket, obviously? So make sure you use a ticketing platform that supports the Metapixel. If your ticketing platform does not support the Metapixel or dataset or whatever fucking Mark decides to call it now, do not use it. Don't. I recommend Humanitix. Eventbrite does it as well. Most major ticket providers should allow you to integrate the Metapixel. Now, obviously, just have the basics down packed, like date, time, location. Make sure the event description and you have compelling copy and content. It sounds exciting to come. Now, don't overcomplicate your ticketing tiers unless you're trying to sell more than 1,000 tickets. Just stick with like 2 tops, like early birds and general, or like general and VIP. Maybe 3 tops, like early birds, general, and VIP. Don't, unless you're over 1,000 tickets, don't overcomplicate it too much. Now, for ads to work, you need to make it at least $15 because, like, if you go back to the Google sheet, if your ticket's like $5, you're just gonna, even if people buy tickets, you're just gonna lose money. So make it at least $15. You need margin for the math to work. Now, your pixel. So your pixel is how you know your ads are working. Now, despite being called a pixel, you can't actually visibly see it. It's a piece of code installed on your ticket page that acts as a messenger owl back to your ad account. So your ad account knows like who's been there, so you can retarget them with ads. Because what you can do is you can go onto your ad account and go, hey, anyone that visited my pixel, show them this ad. More importantly, you can go, anyone that visited my pixel, but they visited this specific web page URL, create an audience out of that, right? You also want to know what they did. So did they buy a ticket, but also how much was the ticket? So not just that they purchased something, but how much was the total purchase? Because then the ad account can do the math of, okay, they bought a ticket worth $100, the cost per purchase was 10, so now you know your return on ad spend is 10x. But also the pixel allows it to get better at the objective. So it learns how to get a purchase conversion and then can find more purchase-looking people. Now, I have a bit of a reputation in the media buying advertising space to be a little bit of a giga Chad media buyer because I'll run fucking festival ads without any conversion tracking because I'm a fucking man and I can be like, yeah, I reckon people will click this ad as the right people, they're purchasing tickets. However, best practice when it comes to media buying is you want to train the pixel to get purchases because otherwise it won't know if it's doing its job well or not. Consider the pixel, the messenger owl between your ad account and your ticket page. It's essentially a little messenger owl that goes, hey, I saw someone clicked this ad, they're in this ad set and they purchased something, and then it tells the ad account, and then the ad account goes, oh, okay, so people that purchased these tickets look like this, and I serve the ad at this time, this placement, things like that. So it can get better and learn over time. There's a thing called a learning phase in your ad sets, and it needs to keep getting conversion events so it can learn how to get conversions better. Cool, let's talk about budget. So how much should you spend? Now, your ad budget typically should be within 5 to 10% of revenue if you were to sell out. Now, you spend at the lower end, like towards 5%, if you have a really strong, unique selling point, like a touring act. You need to spend more at the higher end if you don't, like if it's just locals or there's no real strong, compelling, unique selling point, right? Now, you still need to do organic channels and promotion on top of your advertising. So watch the other videos on my channel about building a promoter team, managing a promoter team, getting the most out of your promoters and things like that, right? So timelines. Now, this is really, really important. For some reason, every single event promoter I've ever worked with when it comes to ads is terrible at time management, which is strange because events are one of the few businesses where time is truly of the essence because there's a deadline to when the doors open. Really weird. So how much lead time do you need? Now, massive caveat to this. This is like a general rule of thumb, but it should serve you like 80% of the time. Now, if you're trying to do less than 1,000 people, 4 to 6 weeks should be fine. 6 weeks if it's like your launch event, right? 4 weeks if you've been pretty consistent. If you're doing 1,000 to 2,000 people, probably 4 to 8 weeks. 2,000 to 3,000 people, probably 6 to 10 weeks. And it also depends on the ticket price as well. Like if it's a really expensive ticket, you're gonna need like more time, right? If it's 3,000 and up, I really don't know why you're watching my free YouTube tutorial. You probably have been doing this for a while, or you have an in-house team member. So I don't know what you're doing here, but I appreciate the subscription. And if you haven't, subscribe. Cool. Scheduling your budget. Now, you're not going to spend the same amount of money the whole time. You're going to divide the time between announcing your event and the actual date of the event into 3 phases. Now, for the purpose of this, I'm going to refer to them as the launch phase, the mid phase, and the home stretch. Now, the launch phase is 25% from the announce date of the event, right? So if it's a 4-week campaign, it's the first week, right? First 25%. Now, you want to spend about 40% of your budget here. Like, you want to go all out and building as much hype as possible because we're going to retarget them later. And it's so important that you have the fucking pixel installed by now, because if you do this without the pixel installed, you just fucking wasted so much money. Phase 2, we have the mid phase, which is generally speaking like the next 50% until the date of the event. So for example, in a 4-week campaign, it's weeks 2 and 3, right? You want to spend about 30% of your budget here. We're not trying to get too many ticket sales. We just want to remind people that, yep, we still exist and still build some retargeting audiences. Phase 3 is the home stretch. So this is the last 25% of your campaign, sometimes even like the last 10%, but for the purposes of this, I'm going to do 25%. So in a 4-week campaign, it's the last week. Now you want to spend the remaining 30% of your budget here, because and it's literally just all going to be in the same audience, and I'll get into that. So let's go through the phases in more detail. Phase 1, launch phase. The purpose of this phase is just to build a lot of hype and retargeting audiences very quickly. So what you're going to do is you're going to post an announcement video on your page with the ticket link. You're going to grab that post and use it as an existing post as a traffic ad, not a conversion ad, a traffic ad, to build as much social proof as possible, because people are going to click it, they're going to comment on it, they're going to tag their friends. When you see the post on a page, you're going to see so much hype, and that's going to build social proof. You go, oh, fuck, everyone's going to this thing, right? By the way, common question, why not purchase conversions from the start? You will get a lower CPM with traffic and build greater awareness, which is just the purpose of this page. We're not going for the juggler just yet. We're just trying to build as much hype as possible. Even though we optimized it for traffic, it doesn't mean people aren't going to purchase it. It's just, you're just telling Facebook, I just want people to click the ad. Some people will still convert anyway. Now, you'll get sales quickly, but don't panic if it's not a massive bull run. Generally speaking, most events are like in reverse bell curve, where there's like lots of sales at the start and then it's very quiet and then there's a massive fucking spike. I think we even had Joseph out, or someone posted in our school community, where like 80 or 90% of their ticket sales happened like the day of and the day before. Phase 2, this is the mid phase. So what we're doing here is we're going to continue to build retargeting audiences and stay front of mind, but we want to conserve budget for the final stretch, right? Now, we're going to keep some ticket sales momentum, but preserve budget for the final phase, where we really fucking let her rip, is what I like to say. Now, continue to post on the pages organically, and then grab those posts and repurpose them as purchase conversion ads to cold and warm audiences, right? So we're just going to like retarget people like, yeah, you want to buy now, you want to buy now, you want to buy now, and things like that. Also build engagement on your existing posts. If you want to get a little more advanced, you can split cold traffic. You can split cold to a traffic objective and warm to conversions, but you can do that. I just don't want to overcomplicate things, and I just want to keep things simple for you guys, especially for a lot of you. I know this is like your first campaign. Now, by the way, from an emotional standpoint, you are probably panicking now because the event's like 2 weeks away and you've probably sold like 20% of the tickets. Fucking relax. Like, you're going to be tempted to up your budget. Just hold on for dear life, right? So just hold on. Phase 3, home stretch. You're going to be fucking nervous here, by the way. Now, what we want to do here is we want to capitalize on urgency and dominate the screen real estate of everyone that knows you're happening. So I mentioned in the last slide, but honestly, 70% of your ticket sales are going to happen now, and like even like the last 48 hours. So if the home stretch is like a week, the last 2 days is where most of the sales happens. Now, we're only going to retarget people in this phase with purchase conversion ads that focus on urgency, i.e. there's not much time left, and scarcity, which is there's not much tickets left. So the only people that you're going to be targeting with this ads, we're not trying to tell new people about the event, we're not trying to find new people. All we're doing is, who knows we exist, try to get them to buy tickets. Essentially what we're doing here is just blowing the load and spending the rest of your budget in this very short phase. This phase, by the way, is largely made successful by the launch phase, so you need a lot of people to retarget for this to work. If you're trying to scramble to build retargeting audiences and you're doing cold targeting at this phase, you've fucked something up and it's going to look pretty grim. Now, weaponizing your ad account. Let's take all of that theory and actually put it into practice, and I'll jump into a demo account.
All right, so let's build our phase 1 campaign. So let's say we have a budget of, let's go $2,000, and we want to spend like 40% of our budget in that first phase. So we've got a budget of $800 for this first campaign. What we will do is from adsmanager.facebook.com, we go create ad. Now, Facebook always runs like 80 fucking different versions of the user interface at any given point in time. So if yours looks ever so slightly different to this, just find the right fucking button. So we want traffic for phase 1. We can go continue. Now it's going to try and get you to do this recommended settings bullshit. We're fucking grown-ups. Let's just do a manual traffic campaign. Then we want to go, we'll call it like phase 1, event name. Let's call it link clicks. Great. Advantage campaign budget, we want to turn that on. We want to set it to lifetime budget, and we have $800. Great. Cool, that's all good, that's all good, that's all good. There's this new feature where you can turn on budget scheduling. Has been useful, but don't worry about it too much. Now we want to do cold. We want conversion location to be on a website. We want to maximize the number of link clicks. You can do landing page views. I just do link clicks and just fucking let it rip. Now we want to set the end date. So let's say, for example, we are starting this campaign on, what's today, the 13th of October, and we want to run phase 1 for a week. We want to set the end date to a week from now. So it'll be the 20th of October. Audience controls. Facebook's trying to get you to like automate more of this shit. So you want to go down here to this button that you barely notice called switch to original audience options. Click that. It's going to try and get you to use Advantage Plus. Just click this grayed out button that says use original audience. Cool. Now, let's say, for example, I want to, let's say I'm actually in Thailand right now, but Perth, Western Australia. Cool. Let's say, for example, I'm running a drum and bass event in Perth. And I know that people will drive up to 40 kilometers away to get to like the main city of Perth, right? We want to set the age, so it might be like 18 to, let's do like 30. Again, you're going to need to know your customer avatar, so don't follow my targeting exactly, obviously. And then down here, we can select some interests. So we can just start typing stuff in drum and bass. There we go, drum and bass, sweet. Then if you can't come up with more, just go like suggestions and just chuck some stuff in, like Chasing Status, Andy C, Outlook Festival, Old School Jungle. Fucking rudimental, stuff like that, right? Why is it not? No, I do not want to do fucking Advantage Plus. Now, I think the interface is just fucking glitching for me, but usually over here it should say like the audience size. I don't know why it's doing this. It might be because I'm in fucking Thailand right now, but I know that this audience should be like 80,000 people or something like that. Just a question that I'll get sometimes is like, how big or how small should the audience size be? For a cold audience, have it between, for most people watching this, have it somewhere between like 100,000 to 200,000 people. Music festivals, you're going to need more. But for like local nightclub events, you probably want to be between like 100, 200,000, maybe up to like 300,000 people for a cold audience, right? Cool. Leave advantage placements on. Let me make sure I haven't missed anything else that you guys would usually overlook. No, that's good. Cool. Then we'd go next. Now, I'm not going to create a campaign, but what you would do is you would select. So if you're at this point, it means you've already made your announcement post. So you would go select the Facebook page and the Instagram account that is your nightclub event. Rather than create ad, you want to use an existing post. Scroll down, select a post. I'll just do, this one. Continue. And then what you'll want to do is you'll want to add a button here. And then you do learn more, and then you would put your ticket URL in there, and then you would go update post. I'm not going to do that because it's going to fuck this up. So do that, and then it will add a button to your post so that they can go to the ticket page, right? And so you do that. Make sure that you have website events set up there. You should have your pixel installed on your ticket page. And then you would click publish. I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to run an ad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this, but I will publish the the campaign and the ad set. So I'll click publish there. Now I'll show you guys some other cold audiences that you can do. So I'll do cold. I'll name this one interests. Now what you can do is once you have your campaign, your ads inside your ad set, you can just duplicate the ad set. I'll do keep current setup. I'll go continue, duplicate. Let's say, for example, you already have heaps of Instagram engagers. I'll go warm IG engagers 365D look alike. So what you can do is keep all this the same. Go create audience, go create new custom audience. Now there's all these sources that you can use to build an audience. So you've got people that hit your pixel, people from your email list, people that viewed a video, people that engaged with Instagram, anyone that responded to an event. Most of you probably have the most engagement on Instagram. So you go Instagram engagers, and then I'm on so many different. Just go to the Where You one. Anyone who engaged in your account for last, you can go up to 365 days. So I'll call it Where You IG 365D. I'll create that audience. Now we can create a lookalike audience. In Australia, create audience. Fuck off. Cool. And then we just want to keep the lookalike audience in there. Now, untick this advantaged lookalike audience. Basically, what this is saying is hey, I know I said I only want these people, but fucking ignore me. Now, what a lookalike audience is it takes your source audience, which in this instance was everyone that engaged with that Instagram account the last 365 days. It finds the 1% or 2%, depending what percent you choose, finds a certain percentage of users in a country that look the most like your Instagram engagers or whoever you selected. Now, the more data you give it, the better. So, for example, you don't want to do a lookalike audience of an event that only had 100 responses because there's just not a statistically significant sample size of data. Whereas if you have when you check the audiences tab here, and it populates 24 hours later, you'll be able to see how many people are in that audience. So I know this audience is 15,000 people. That's loads of, data. And so it's got 15,000 people to figure out what they all have in common and then go find more people like that. Something you need to do if you just copied my process, which is duplicating the ad set, is it will also duplicate over all the interests. You want to delete all of those. Otherwise, it will do a cross section of inside the lookalike and then also interested in that. So that could be, this isn't warm. Why did I name it warm? This is cold. So this is also cold. Instagram engages 365D. Cool. I'd publish that one too. Now, I would also actually, if you've been running events for a while, I'd also do a warm audience too. So what I would do is I would duplicate, I would keep the current setup. And so this will tell everyone that already knows about you. Facebook, IG, 365D, pixel hits 180D. This will just be everyone who's touched anything in the last year on Facebook or 180 days on your ticket pages. It will just show it to all of them. And so you would go, I'd get my IG audience, Where You IG 365D. I would do Facebook engages 365D. If not, you'll just go custom audience, make any engagement audience for that one. And then also do the same for your website visitors. So you do next. You could see you should see a pixel there. And then anyone that visited your website in the last up to 180 days, you can go up to 180, and then just name it's Pixel Hits 180D, create audience, done. And then this ad set will show your announcement ad to anyone that engaged with you on Facebook, Instagram, or hit a pixel in the last 180 days, right? And then I'd publish that one too. Sweet. So that is your that's your phase one campaign, right? So it will spend, what did I set it to? $800, which was like I think 40% of the budget in the first week after announcing the event, right? Now what we want to do is a phase two campaign. So what that will look like is we go sales, continue. It's going to try and do this shit again. Manual sales campaign. We'll call it phase two event name purchase conversions. Right. So we do that. We do, they fucking changed the interface again. Vantage campaign budget. We want to do lifetime budget. I think the budget will be $400 over 2 weeks. And campaign lifetime budget. Yes, that's all good. Next, we want websites, maximize number of conversions. We want to select your pixel, select purchase. Now, the first one that we're going to do is pixel hits, we'll call it hot, pixel hits 180D. Right. We'd set it from the 21st to 2 weeks after that. So it'd be, what's that? I think it's the 4th. Oh, it's my birthday. 21st, yeah, it's the 4th. You would do, again, you'd set your location. So I'd do Perth. Oh, fucking not that Perth. This one. Switch to original audience options. I can do this shit again. Now I would do the Pixel 180D in this one. Untick this fucking box. This fucking box here is basically the same like the lookalike audience one before. It's basically saying, hey, I know you said you only want me to show it to people that hit your pixel in the last 180 days, but by default, I'm going to fucking ignore you. Turn that shit off. Cool. Turn 18 to like whatever your age range is. Don't set any, fuck off. Fuck off. Don't set any like detailed targeting. We're only finding people that like know about us already. Cool. So we do that one. Pixel hits, tell that shit to fuck off. Yep. So now we're doing conversion events and it's purchases. So this is anyone that hit the pixel, so anyone that visited your ticket page. Now in here, you'll do the same thing. You would select your page. You could either select your page or create an ad in here, and obviously just send traffic to your not chat and Instagram. You want to send them to your ticket page. So do that, and then you'd like either create an ad or use an existing post. Do the same thing. Add a button so it goes to your ticket page. Make sure that you turn on website events and stuff like that. Now, I'm not going to publish that because I don't want to publish an ad. Cool. So that's pixel hits, and then we publish that one. Cool. So that's that. And then we'd also do hot, duplicate. We'd do warm, Facebook, IG, 365D. Now, this one's going to be slightly different. So what we want to do is there's people that exist in hot that also exist in warm and vice versa. We want to separate them. So the way that we do that is we exclude anyone that from this one that is hot, and we only show it to people that are warm. So 365D, where you IG, and then the Facebook engages 365D, right? So this audience will only be people that engage with you on Facebook and Instagram, but have not hit the pixel. So it's very specifically warm. It's not warm and hot, and it helps with like learning, and it helps like segregate your audiences more. So we do that one. Publish. There's like one more that you'll do, which is like, and then again, you'll have your ads inside your ad set, right? There's one more you can do, which is video views. So I would call this, if I really wanted to, I'd call it like lukewarm. I'd call it 10 sec video viewers. So let's say, for example, you listened to me and you ran a video ad for your announcement post. You'll do the same thing. You'd exclude this, and then you'll create a new audience based on video views. So viewed at least 10 seconds of your video, you would select the video. You would just like select the video that you want to, or videos that are related to your event, and then name it like event name 10 sec video views. Create that audience. Done. And then you publish that one too. Sweet. So that's what you do. Now for phase 3, you can basically just get this exact same campaign, duplicate the entire thing, just change the budget, change the dates, and change the ads. So we'd call it phase 3 purchase conversions. We'd set the budget to, what was it? It was 800, right? And then you'll change the dates again to all of these. So this one would be like that. What is it? So it'd be like the 5th to the 11th. This one would be like the... Fuck off. Why are you being like this? 11th. That one would be like the 5th. And then this one would be like the 11th. And that one would be like the 5th. You'll change out the ads inside the ad sets. Make sure it's obviously optimized for purchase conversions. And then you just like publish this entire thing. And then obviously the ads in like phase, come on, publish all of it. In phase 3 are saying like, hey, time's running out, tickets are running out. Like you're contextualizing the ads, right? Like you're not running the same fucking ads. I mean, you can, but best practice would be to do that. So that is how you weaponize your fucking ad account. If you do want help with this stuff, if you go to, the link will be in the YouTube description. You can get support from me in Club Cult Creators. If you're like, Brandon, how do I make my ads do better? You can like post screenshots and stuff in there, and I can like kind of help you out that way. So, but I'm going to go back into my previously recorded lecture and go through the next steps. So what you should see in the end is something that looks like this. So this is a campaign I ran that spent $7,000 on ads, and it spat out close to $25,000. Now, this event actually did north of $100,000, I think $105,000 in ticket sales. The reason it's only showing $25,000 here is obviously there's some people that buy it organically. There are also issues in Meta's attribution. So because of the iOS, 14.5 update back in 2020 or 2021, sometimes the pixel will struggle to pick up every single conversion that happens. And so there's some purchases that actually came from an ad, but they don't get attributed. So that's sometimes why it can seem a little bit lower, even though there's significantly more ticket sales happening and they're not running any like real organic channels or anything like that, right? So you can see here phase 1, I had a slightly different architecture because I had some people like already like in warm audiences, but phase 1, you can just see there's not many purchases going on there. It's just like finding a lot of cold audiences. And then the way it's structured as well, I separated warm and hot, but the cold one was basically anyone interested in like D&B and then like an Advantage Plus audience too. There was also, where's phase 2? Phase 2 is conversions, and it's just warm and hot people, but significantly lower budget. Like it was only spending like $500 there. You can walk past Jackson, it's fine. And then phase 3, you can see where this is where all of the purchases are happening. Like 127 purchases happen in phase 3, as opposed to significantly lower purchase numbers for phase 1 and 2, and that's where the bulk of the purchases are happening. Like a 9x return on ad spend, as opposed to like 1s and 2s here. So that's what it should kind of look like in the end. And this is only going to happen if you've got your pixel tracking set up, and so it can actually attribute stuff to your ads.
So your announcement post, this is going to be in the launch phase. Let's look at some content and copywriting basics. Most importantly, whenever promoters ask me like, what should I write in the post? Make sure that the date is somewhere in the first 2 lines of the post. So they don't have to click see more when you run it as an ad and time is running out. What you want to be able to do is people constantly see the date and then do the math in their head of, yep, that is 3 weeks away. Yep, that is 2 weeks away, and not have to keep repurposing or reposting and saying 1 week, 2 weeks and stuff like that. I always encourage you to do videos over graphics every time. The reason is videos you can retarget video viewers, which I'm going to show you in a bit. Now, we want videos of previous events, the artist playing at other gigs, or even just music videos of the genre. They're just a far better way of selling the experience of being at your event over a still image with just like artist names and dates. A lot of you are just running like the old school posters of like the date and the time, and you have some hot chick on the poster, but it's just a really poor way of selling the event. The video content is a far more emotional, compelling way to sell the experience of being at your event. Now, general rule of thumb, make a portrait 1350 pixels high by 1080 wide, so it takes up as much vertical screen real estate as possible. I have this saying that running like 80% of 90% of your traffic is going to be mobile, and so paying for an ad and using a landscape video is a bit like paying for a full page ad in the newspaper and only using 1/3 of the page. Now, keep it less than 60 seconds so it can be used on all placements, and obviously accounts for everyone's TikTok brain. Red brain versus green brain. Now, I've talked about this in other videos, but one of the most critical lessons I ever learned in marketing and sales ever. Now, depending which book you read, the brain has 2 systems of thinking. It's either called System 1, System 2, or thinking fast, thinking slow. I learned red brain, green brain in a business coaching program that I was on. You think like traffic lights, red brain stop, green brain go. Red brain is just like logic, facts, features. So in the context of events, that's like date, time, location, DJs. Green brain is feelings, emotions, story, narrative. And to drive this point home, I've used this in other videos, but you can probably recall a time where you're having an argument with a spouse or someone, and you said something so quickly that as soon as the words left your mouth, you're like, fuck, I shouldn't have said that. And it's because you're in your green brain, and you're thinking emotionally, and you'll just action go, right? So I have this saying that people buy emotionally and they justify it logically, but their logic is already messed up if their emotions got to them first. The original quote is that people buy emotionally and they justify it logically. I like adding the little bit that their logic is already messed up if their emotions get to them first. So, how do we green brain our event copy? Now, beginner marketers just talk about the thing. Mediocre marketers talk about the result of the thing. Advanced marketers really talk about how that result makes people feel. So how do we green brain our copy? There's 3 simple steps. We go, what's the thing? What's the result of the thing? And then the third one, how does that result make them feel? Right? And if we look at back here, beginner marketers talk about the thing, which is step 1. Mediocre marketers talk about the result of the thing, which is step 2. And advanced marketers talk about how the result makes them feel. That's the third step there. But the way we write it in our copy is we talk about it in reverse. So, for example, let's do an emo night, for example. What's the thing? A My Chemical Romance tribute night. What's the result of the thing? Listen to My Chemical Romance with your friends. How does that result make them feel? Nostalgic to when you were wearing a red tie to your high school prom because of the Helena music video. Right? Now we talk about it in reverse. So, what that ad might sound like is, relive the nostalgia of wearing a red tie to your high school ball and wishing the DJ would play Helena so you can pretend you're in the music video at Not a Phase on the 17th of July at the Retrobite. Right? See how it's in the reverse of this thing? Oh yeah, I like that in this thing. And then an asterisk, none of the people that bullied you in high school were invited. That's another tip. I didn't have a slide for this, but I'll talk about tribalism. Tribalism is a really, really useful way. You can just pin your crowd against someone else, and as a result of them, they like you more. So by bringing up the people that picked on them in high school, because we don't like them either, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, they grow a higher affinity with our event, right? But saying this quote here, relive the nostalgia of blah, 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 that's a far more compelling ad than just saying, hey, we're playing My Chemical Romance on the 17th of July, right? Because it gets them into their green brain and they're emotional. Funny enough, emotional. Shut up, Seth. Now, optimizing your campaigns to improve your return on investment. In media buying world, it's actually called ROAS, which is return on ad spend, but fuck it. Here's another quote from me again. Gambling is the only vice I never got into because I can count cards in an ad account. And that's really what this is. So, optimizing your campaign is all about just making percentages go up, right? If you refer back to the Google sheet that I was talking about before, all we're doing is just trying to fight for tiny percentage increases. I'll talk about lead metrics versus lag metrics, which are essentially just indicators of success or measures of success at different points in time. Let's talk about lead metrics. So lead metrics are what happens before success happens. So some lead metrics, there's hundreds you can look at in an ad account, and if you've ever looked at your ad account, you've probably felt really overwhelmed because there's just so many rows and columns of data. But if you're a beginner, just look at these. So we have link click-through rate, which is the percentage of people that saw the ad and clicked it. Now, be very careful. Don't confuse this with click-through rate all. There's another column called click-through rate all, and it's literally just, they could have clicked the video, they could have liked, they could have, it's just like, did they touch the fucking post at all? We only want the link click-through rate, and obviously the higher the better. The link click-through rate is basically of the percentage of people that saw the ad and then clicked it. General rule of thumb, you want to be north of 1%. Conversion rate. Now, unfortunately, in your Meta ad account, this isn't calculated automatically, but it's the percentage of people that hit the ticket page and then purchase. You can work it out by dividing purchases by unique link clicks and doing the mental math that way. Really wish Google has a conversion rate metric. I don't know why the fuck Meta doesn't. Oh wait, I have a slide for more details. Yep. Don't confuse with click-through rate all. More people that click the ad, the better, usually. There's a caveat to that as well, which is, remember, when we're optimizing for traffic, your click-through rate is going to be higher than if you optimize for purchase conversions, because in purchase conversions, the algorithm is trying to find people more likely to convert on the landing page too, whereas with traffic, it's just trying to get people to click, right? So that's what I say usually. Generally speaking, 1% and up. Now, if it is not, or you just want to make your click-through rate go higher, which you should always be trying to make it go higher, you either need to show it to better people, which is target better people, or you need to make a better ad. More often than not, it's make a better ad. The targeting is pretty hard to fuck up in Meta, to be honest. Like, if you have a good ad shown to the right people, lots of people should click it. Conversion rate. Talked about, unfortunately, there's no default column for this, but the formula is purchases from campaign divided by, I should add here, unique link clicks, right? Because sometimes people had to click 3 or 4 times to actually purchase. Should average out to about 5%. Again, going to depend on if you're optimizing for traffic or if you're optimizing for conversions. This is all general rule of thumb. Now, if it's not, it could be you're in a low urgency phase. So for example, in the mid phase, your conversion rate is probably going to be pretty low, but in the final phase, it's going to be pretty high. Could be your pricing. Don't be changing this on the fly though. But more often than not, it's just like not a compelling offer. So if you get through your entire campaign, your conversion rate sucked, it's probably just your offer sucked, your content sucked, your copy sucked, you don't have any social proof, you fucked up your launch phase, something like that. Cool. Lag metrics. How do we measure success when success happens? Basically, how do you know you're not losing money? So first one is just overall ticket sales going up, obviously. Now note, I think it was, when was the adpocalypse? It was like 2021 maybe. After iOS 14, you're not going to see all of the purchases attribute to a campaign because the tracking is no longer as like overpowered as it once was. There was a heyday, I remember like pre-COVID. Wait, do we have to censor COVID when I say it on YouTube? Oh, okay. Like pre-2020, the targeting on Facebook was fucked. It was so good. Like you could target homeowners. Like that was literally just an option, but you never tell Facebook when you bought a home. It would just see where you went on the internet and worked it out. Like the targeting was so OP, it was insane. Now it's been nerfed pretty hard. The other thing as well is data might be delayed by up to 7 days, which is super annoying. And they do it for anonymity, which I think is it's just stupid because basically, like if I buy a ticket from your ad today, in the interest of privacy, it might just not tell your ad account until this time next week. Like it's fucking annoying anyway, so. Which is annoying because sometimes you'll like turn off something that didn't work and then like the next day it's like, hey, 18 purchases happened. You're like, what the fuck? And you got to turn it back on. The next lag metric is purchases. So the more the better. These again will only show if you have your metapixels set up and you have conversion tracking set up. So make sure you do that. Cost per purchase, the lower the better. So cost per purchase is just how much did you spend on ads divided by how many purchases happened. So if you spent $100 on ads and 10 purchases happened, your cost per purchase is $10. Obviously, the lower the better. Now your return on ad spend, the higher the better. So in that example, spend $100 to get 10 purchases. If those 10 purchases were worth, $10 each, sorry, let's do $20 each, then we made $200 from $100 in ad spend, so it's a 2x return on ad spend. Now, again, I mentioned it before, but the above three will only be visible if you have tracking set up, so make sure that you do that. Now, when should you make changes? Now, again, I have a bit of a reputation for being a bit of a fucking Giga Chad media buyer and just making calls willy-nilly and just let it rip. But best practices is you need a statistically significant sample size of data, which sounds like a dork, but yeah, you just got to do that. There's a whole statistical formula you can use to work out if something's statistically significant or not. Or you could actually just like plug it in. You can actually just screenshot it, plug it into ChatGPT and ask. But the long story short is just, when should you change things? Not as soon as you think. It's the most common thing I hear from people that I like either teach ads or I do ads for them. They want to make changes really, really quickly. And I'm like, dude, you've spent like $100. The ad's been shown to like 2,000 people. It's gotten like 100 clicks. Like, you don't know what's working yet. Most people just like run an ad for a day, it doesn't work, and then the next day they just change everything. Just like be patient. Or like, for example, it might not even be time. It might be like they spent $15, didn't get a purchase, and then turn it off or like change everything, right? So like you need to spend and like know like how many people clicked it, how many people saw it before you start making all these big rash changes. Like give the algorithm a chance to learn how to do its job. The first few days and first $100 of ad spend, all the metrics are going to go up and down so much because the sample size is so like small. So just leave everything for like at least a week before you start touching stuff, especially as a beginner. Like you just don't know yet. Like you'll see, you'll run an ad for a day, like, oh fuck, it didn't work. And then the next day it will just blitz. And then the next day it will go okay. Like it has to average out. Hey guys, so once you start running your ads, you're going to have follow-up questions like, hey Brandon, how do I make this do better? How do I sell more tickets? How do I set up this retargeting thing? Different strategies for different capacities and things like that. So if you check the link in the description, you can get an invite to Club Cult Creators. Now, to be transparent, I had to re-record this on my phone because a month and a half ago when I recorded that original lecture bit on the couch, or Sev's armchair thing, Club Cult Creators was free. But just like when you go to a nightclub and it's free entry for the first hour, the free entry period has closed. I think we got to 125 members. And at the time of recording this, it's now $17 a month to get in, which is honestly less than what most of your people pay for a ticket to get into your club. So I priced that way, so it's an absolute no-brainer. So if you could just bring one extra head through the door, the investment pays for itself. Now, also to be transparent, I will have to control the quantity of people inside Club Cult Creators. So if too many people join at once, the price is going to go up again. So don't dilly-dally like I noticed some people did, where they saw it was free before, and then they checked back and they're like, why is there a price down? It's like, because I have to quantity control the number of people in there. So I hope to see you inside so I can help you grow and scale your campaigns and your events, because you can just post screenshots of your results in there and I can just comment, say, hey, change this targeting, change this targeting, change this targeting, so I can help you win and then I can brag about you on the about page of the school community. So other than that, I will see you inside. Check the link in the description.